So I was sent a screener for a movie called Customs Frontline, and this is one I'd never even heard of. It was a Chinese film, and it said that it was an action thriller, and I thought, okay, it has thriller in the title, and maybe it'll be right for the channel. Not really. I actually contemplated not even reviewing this because this isn't that kind of channel, but I do have a show I do with my buddy Christian called Men of Action, so it's not like this is the first time I've reviewed an action film on here. But this is primarily an action film, and the next genre I would throw in here is drama, but mostly it's an action film, and it is about custom agents that find a shipment of illegal weapons and arms, and they track it to like this conflict, and they go undercover, and it's this globe-trotting kind of, action film. I mean, that's what I could say here. But they do get into some pretty heavy stuff with like mental illness with one of the characters, which I thought was interesting to throw into a film like this. Not something you would typically see explored in a movie like this. So I thought that was pretty cool. There's also some romantic stuff in here, but most of it's like tragic romance stuff. And I would have liked to have seen the character stuff developed more. I think a lot of it, the stuff that we get with the characters, is intriguing and interesting, but ultimately doesn't go in enough for us to connect to it in a way that I think is meaning to get us to connect to it. And that was a shame because I did feel like that's what held this film back for me. It's a longer film, and I broke this up into segments, and that could have disrupted the flow and my connection to those characters a bit. So I will say that. But the action in this movie is really damn good at times. Like it's really well directed in the action sequences. There's some stuff that looks a little corny and a little cheesy at times, but for the most part, I was actually pretty impressed with a lot of the actions in here. And there's some big climatic scenes with like a shipping boat. Kind of reminded me of Speed 2 Cruise Control. Not a good film to mention when you're reviewing something, since that movie's terrible. But you'll know what I mean when you see it. But yeah, I had a good time with this. I wish I paid better attention to it because it is in Chinese Mandarin. I don't know what I don't even know how to say that, dialect or it's in. I don't know, but I do feel like I could have paid a little bit better of attention to this. Honestly, I'm always trying to do too many things at once, and sometimes I just need to get the fuck off my phone and pay better attention. I paid pretty good attention. Now, a decent amount of this movie is in English, and I feel like that's where the film really suffers, because it's hard enough acting in your native language, but when you're not a great actor, then acting in a second language to you, or even more, maybe third or fourth language to you, it really shows. And with this one, there's a good amount of English dialogue, and as a native English speaker, it feels very rough, and not in a like, oh, this person doesn't know how to speak the language. It's like, no, their performance really feels stilted in the English segments, and there's a lot of English spoken word in this from people, and I feel like because they are speaking a different language through the rest of it, I can't decipher their acting skills as well as I could with them putting out the language that I know. Then I can really see it and spot it and be like, ooh, that's not delivered well. The emotion behind that doesn't feel right, because I understand how those words typically come out when they're said by someone who's acting well. So I did find that to be distracting to the film. And for some reason, I watched like an hour of this one night and then came back and watched it again for the next hour. And that second hour, even though it was fairly exciting in the end, and it had big action sequences that were payoffs, but it all kind of just got very convenient in the end, and a little lackluster at the very very end with some of the ways they wrapped things up. It was like, oh, okay, we're done with that. All right, that's how he does this. Okay, that I guess that's okay. Um, but I don't know. I found that last hour to really feel like a long time. I was dealing with a broken down car. That's why I was distracted. I was trying to get it fixed, and I was looking for like mechanics, and I was having to pause the movie to like make calls to mechanics, and so there was a lot of that going on, and I was like trying to figure out how financially I was going to fix it because it was expensive, and I finally figured it out and all of that. So that you know this is why going to the theater is best for me, because I won't touch my phone in the theater for any reason. And when it's something I really want to watch, especially like when I watch like House of the Dragon, or if I watch The Boys, or if I watch like, any Star Wars shows or any of that kind of stuff, I always take my phone and I plug it in the bedroom and I walk away from it for like an hour. And that's what I need to do with like every film. This one wasn't one I really all cared that much about going in. I knew nothing about it. It still ended up being entertaining, and I think if you're a Chinese action fan who likes like bigger production, globe-trotting adventures, you should give it a try. And as I said, with the exploration of like mental health in that, I thought that was fascinating. I just wish that maybe would have got more time with the relationships between those characters. So when things happen, you're like, man, even more devastated as it's going for. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good one, but only for fans of this specific type of film. And I don't know if my audience is filled with many of those. So let me know if you check it out, and I'll see you in the comments. All right, bye.